Good morning, President Smith, and thank you for talking to us today about one of your favorite events, commencement. My name is Ann Motogawa, and I will be walking you through the findings from our investigations. For our agenda today, we're going to start with an overview of our current situation. Then we will put some numbers to the current staffing model and discuss how HR analytics helps us to understand what creates these costs. Last, we'll talk about proposed solutions for reducing those costs. As you know, the commencement office plans and hosts the university's commencement ceremony, but we also chair the school's convocation planning committee and coordinate shared resources across campus so everyone can plan more effectively. This year, we took on a larger role through the graduation consolidation project. This included taking responsibility for the convocation schedule for the entire graduation weekend, increasing our role in coordinating shared resources to include the actual venue bookings, staging, sound, and audio for all the convocations. And with people hesitant to be inside due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we organized 7 reception tents on green spaces across campus. The commencement office also fields emails and calls from parents and graduates, which have been increasing for the last 5 years. You can see this from the chart here in the corner. We saw an increase this last year of more than 350%. While some of this volume was no doubt attributable to the pivots that we had to make in the ceremony formats because of the pandemic, you will also notice that we've had an escalating contact volume since in 2020, when we didn't even have an in-person ceremony. So we expect this trend to continue. The commencement office is currently understaffed in comparison to its peer institutions, which have an average of 6 FTE to plan and execute the same type of events. We are a little bit smaller than some of our peers, so maybe 6 is not necessarily the right number, but probably definitely more than 4.5. Our office uses a mix of 2 permanent staff leaders who have this as a small percentage of their responsibilities, 2 contract staff whose contracts need to be renegotiated every year, and a headcount of 2 temporary office staff spread across 3 people who can only work for 1,000 hours per year. This staffing model contributes to retention problems as the office staff has to be replaced every year, and the renegotiation of the contract staff contracts can mean that the contract staff has uncertainty about their employment or may have gaps in their employment while the contract approvals are being completed. So what are the costs of our current staffing model? As you can see from this cost breakdown, the commencement office is spending nearly $55,000 every 2 years just to keep the status quo. These are activities like employee separation and hiring, training, and lost productivity because of the constant churn of personnel. This activity has a human cost as well. Sharma and Warkenton found that temporary employees do not feel a strong organizational commitment as permanent employees and do not perceive that they are as supported in their jobs. This perpetuates the cycle of employee churn, as Kim, Park, and Chang found that organizational commitment negatively influences turnover intentions. Let's dig a little bit into the costs. We have 100% turnover every year in the office staff because they're temporary workers and are limited to 1,000 hours of work per year. The office staff is important because they answer all the parent and graduate questions and do important research and benchmarking activities for us. There's a wide body of knowledge that they need to know to answer all the parent questions, which is why there's so much training for these positions. Training is done by the administrator and the production manager, as there's no one else to do it. The yearly costs for office staff are approximately $4,300. So here's a sample of the training calculations. HR analytics can help us break down what goes into these activities so we can price out the pieces to get a total cost. In this example, we multiply aspects of staff time by the number of sessions that they perform and trainee pay by the number of trainees and how long they spend in the training. As a result, you can see that our costs are $1,664 for the 8-hour formal training program that our new hires undergo. Because so many employees in our university are on a salary versus hourly pay scale, we don't often think about the amount of time that employee time that certain activities can take. HR analytics are a good way to look at the organizational cost of activities that we want to do. Another major cost in our current staffing model is productivity of the office staff. If we consider a beginning employee who is having a productivity level of 0.8 and an experienced staff member who's been through a commencement cycle and consider them to be equal to a 1, the cost difference in performance is $4,400. When we multiply this by the proposed 4 office staff employees, this equals $17,600 in lost productivity due to our replacing all of our office staff every year. In terms of hiring, the hiring costs are fairly straightforward, capturing the cost of staff time to execute the hiring process and the number of interviews, things like that. We spend about $3,700 a year rehiring office staff. So that's not a terribly useful way to continue to spend $3,700. So we're proposing several changes to our staffing model that we believe will not only drive down costs, but also make the office run more efficiently. First, the co-chairs need a little bit more support during the commencement cycle. They can't do 100% of their non-commencement jobs and still be the resources that the office needs for direction guidance. Even little things like skipping them in the rotating Dean on Call schedule will help give the office the resources it needs. Another thing that we're proposing is to increase the office staff to 2.5 FTE and restructure other jobs in the division that cyclically don't have pressure points at the same time so that the employees can be permanent employees. This creates a significant reduction in training and productivity costs and should increase organizational commitment because they're full employees. Another proposal that we have is to convert the administrator and manager positions to regular employees. This will eliminate the contract cycle issues and increase organizational commitment. It's also a flat spend because those positions they're currently getting benefits, and it's just a flat spend. So this approach actually has many benefits for student affairs and the university as a whole. A more permanent staffing solution will solve a variety of our issues while better using our financial and human capital resources. Luckily, we have HR analytics to help us break down these costs and inform our decisions. We hope that you found this information useful and are happy to sit down with you at the next meeting to discuss next steps and answer any detailed financial questions that you might have. Thank you for your time today.